All right, let's talk about now and then. Let me tell you what I mean. Um, don't get stuck in the past. Um, when you start Googling how to grow mushrooms, you're most probably going to hit shroomery.org. Shroomery.org is great. There's a lot of good information, but there's a lot of old information. Um, there is there are posts that are really old posts, years and years ago. Mushroom growing has been simplified a lot. Uh, Back then, it was a lot harder. We didn't have Amazon where you could find all these uh, tools and materials and all the stuff you can now get for mushroom growing on Amazon. There was nothing of the sort. Um, so things were very hard back then. Now, uh, not only because of the accessibility of the tools and materials, also a lot of information is out there. Just a lot of time has gone by, so everything's been simplified a lot. And you know me, I try to find the balance between simplicity and efficiency, and I tend to lean towards simplicity, and I lean into that so much that until I can get something that still works but is simple as crap. So a lot of stuff that I have tried is so simple that it doesn't work, and I don't share that, of course. But the stuff that I do share has been tried and tested by me and other people, but especially by me. If I don't test it and with really good results, I'm not going to share it. Now, I've invented some of this stuff that I show, um, but most of it is just evolved from stuff that I've learned over the years. Um, for example, one thing that I invented was it was dumping ready rice in a Ziploc and inoculating that and colonizing that. I say invented because back when I was inoculating straight into the Uncle Ben's bags and having way too much contamination and getting frustrated because I couldn't see in there, only in the bottom, I thought, why don't I dump it straight into a Ziploc, which are already sterilized in the box? And at first I started making holes and covering them with micropore tape as FAE, fresh air exchange holes or air vents. And then I tried to share this, and nobody was interested. Then I looked a bit deeper and I found one guy doing it. And he used the micropore tape all across the top. Um, he was the only guy doing it. So he came up with it at the same time I did. To me, it was just a logical progression. If instead of doing it straight in the Uncle Ben's bag, which to me was a pain in the butt, this was the next logical step. Great minds think alike, so other people were doing it. Then that progressed naturally in my mind to just using Ziploc bags to spawn to bulk in Ziploc bags, because of course uh, commercial growers do it in the Mylar bags, and the unicorn bags they grow straight in the bag. But I was like, those bags are expensive. I gotta order them, wait for them to get here. Ziplocs are already sterile. Why don't I use that? Um, I invented that in the sense that it's just a logical progression from using something simpler that I could get. Just hop in my car and go to Walmart and get them. I like using stuff I can get locally, so I don't have to order, wait, all that stuff. Um, so it was just all the Ziploc stuff that I show was just in my mind a natural progression from one thing to the next. I'm not claiming I invented it, and that's why I say I invented this because I came up with it, but later found out that there's other people doing it. And that's great. I don't care. I don't have patents or copyrights on any of this crap, and I share it freely with everybody. But I just want to clear that up. Yes, I've invented some things, but I didn't invent all this stuff. I'm just sharing it, and I put it together in one place so everybody can have it, one course, everything, like I've said before. Now, let me give you one quick other example. The PPP Petri dishes or agar cups that I use, I was using the ketchup cups, and I hated having to pour them inside the SAB still air box. It was clumsy. They spilled. It was a pain in the butt. And then I found people doing it, what's called the no pour. It's you pour it, but you pour it before you put it in the pressure cooker. They were doing it with these small, tiny mason jars. They're glass, and they're just too deep. They're a pain in the butt to get in there, so I didn't like that. I even saw a guy use these small liquor bottles, and he did it sideways, but then to get that out of there, I don't know why he would do that. So I started looking, and I saw a guy try on YouTube the PPP cups, but he poured them beforehand like I do, but then he put them in these glass jars, and the jar has to be huge, and they have to stack in one straight tower, so that wouldn't work for me. I have a small Instant Pot, 6 quart, which I like to use. So then I thought, what the hell, why don't I just use each one as if it were mason jars? So I did the same thing. I poured them beforehand, but when I let the cap loose, and then I covered with aluminum foil, which may or may not be needed, but it's been working that way, so I keep doing it. And they come out, and I just close them, put them upside down, and wait for the condensation to evaporate and or integrate in there somehow. But they turn out great. You've seen them on the videos, nice and dry and everything. So that I invented, but I didn't invent it. I just adapted other people's techniques, and I went from the glass jars that I didn't like poking in there, saw another guy doing bottles, and then I found that guy try with the PP5 cups, but he actually said that he got contamination, that it didn't work for him. And that's when I started thinking, man, I like the way he was going, so I did this. Anyway, so got that out of the way. There's some stuff that I didn't invent. There's stuff that I just adapted and arguably make better. The main message I want to give you here now is don't be stuck in the old ways. We get used to a way of doing things. We get used to, we get comfortable in our ways, and we don't want to see anything else. I've had some people post comments on my videos and oh, this is crazy. Why are you doing this? Well, this is not how it's been done. Just use jars. Just buy a pressure cooker. So do what you want to do. I'm always pushing the envelope towards simplicity. That's what I like. So don't get stuck in the old ways. I see new videos sometimes show up on YouTube showing people how to grow mushrooms, and they're using jars with PF Tech. Just Google PF Tech. It's old as crap, and they put them in the then they birth them, and they put those pucks in the they roll them in vermiculite and put them in these big tubs with holes and polyfill, which they call a shotgun fruiting chamber and all this crap. New people putting videos out showing old methods and tech. So they're just trying to put out videos without really knowing what's new. I mean, nobody does PF Tech anymore. Who would? But then some people see those videos and actually do it, and they go through all this trouble. Oh my God. Okay, another thing that's old school that hasn't been done in a long time, but people still do it, um, is casing layers. Some people say don't even use casing layers. You don't need them. Now, for some species, you have to, or they won't pin. But on top of that, I've tried without casing layer and with casing layers, and I find that they pin faster with casing layers, and they are better protected against contamination, because while everything is growing in the cake, you've got a layer that's separating all the atmosphere and all the stuff in there from the mycelium that's still colonizing. Now, when the mycelium is nice and strong and completely colonized, then it starts pushing mushrooms up through the casing layer. I prefer casing layer. I've done it for a long time and I've always gotten better results. Now, here's the thing. A lot of people wait for it to colonize and then put the casing layer on top after. And with most mushroom species, you should put the casing layer right when you spawn the bulb. And go straight to fruiting conditions. That's another old school thing. Oh, you gotta cover it and wait 5-8 days until it colonizes everything and it's all nice and white. Then you take it out and give it FAE and fresh air and put it in fruiting conditions. Nobody does fruiting conditions anymore. You just go straight to fruiting conditions. You spawn the bulb, put a casing layer, go straight to fruiting conditions. Think about outside mushrooms. Is there a casing layer fairy going around casing these mycelium so that mushrooms can grow in nature? It doesn't make sense to me. And also, it's another step. You're putting off a step. Go straight to fruiting conditions, casing layer on top, right at the spawn to bulb. So I'm giving you some examples of old school stuff that you're gonna see people comment on my videos, but you should do this and you should do that. I'm not gonna comment on a real weird one I got the other day. I don't want to hurt nobody's feelings, but I don't know, man. I guess people read stuff and then believe it, but you gotta do the work. You gotta experiment. If you don't experiment, you're taking somebody else's word for it. Don't even take my word for it. Just try whatever you want. But if, like I say, go through my fast track, try that, do that, and then start learning the more complicated things and get more information and more practice under your belt. Another thing is that I already touched on a little bit is why Ziplocs? Well, to me, why jars? Why mason jars? The only thing I use jars right now is for liquid culture, which you don't even need, as you see with my videos. But for grain spawn, I never use jars. Never use jars. Why? Why would I? Even if I make popcorn grain, I do it in a jar, put it in the pressure cooker, and then after dump that in the Ziploc like you've seen in my videos. It's so much easier. And jars crack with time, and there's just no reason. There's just no reason. Some people just get stuck in their ways and do not want to try anything new. But do whatever you do. You, I do me. I'm just showing you these things that you can try. I'm showing you in the videos. This stuff works. I'm not making this shit up. So try that. But again, just don't get stuck. Please don't get stuck in the old ways. If you look at an old post, at any post in Shroomery or any other one of the newer websites that are out there now, even on Reddit, look at the age of the post. Sometimes we'll read these posts and we don't notice that they're like from 2000, 2001. They're old. And don't get stuck in the old ways, please. That's it. Hope this helps.